Dan Fagella here, MicroBJJ, ScienceOfSkill.com, and the video you're about to see is actually a charitable event that we ran at my academy called the Top 10 Techniques I Learned in Rio de Janeiro. Basically, when I went down to Rio, one of my primary purposes, besides learn a bunch of cool stuff and getting to train privately with some of the best guys, was to start a nonprofit project that I had the idea for probably only about a month before I left. So I got the ticket, headed down there as soon as I got the idea. Basically what we did is we went down and filmed some jiu-jitsu technique with some of the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners from Rio de Janeiro. So guys like Gordo, a fellow by the name of Ari, who teaches now at what used to be the main Gracie headquarters in Copacabana, Felipe Costa, a number of super talented folks. And essentially the goal is to take that jiu-jitsu footage, to spread that around the jiu-jitsu world, and instead of doing it like a charity, like, hey, ask us for money, selling the jiu-jitsu stuff like we would any other video, and then using that and pooling that and bringing it directly right back to Rio de Janeiro to fund specific youth projects in the favelas of Rio. So if you're watching this on the page I think you're watching this on, there should be a link below with a Science of Skill article that I wrote about one of the projects that I visited and one of the first projects that we're planning on funding up, who are some guys up in Zona Norte, which is in the northern part of Rio de Janeiro, who run a particular favela project that's super powerful, super impactful, and one that I'm going to be happy to support once we get to that point. So this is sort of the kickoff. This is me showing you some of this stuff at video.bjj4rio.com. You can check out the full shebang of this seminar. We're kind of offering it through the BJJ4Rio site now. So video.bjj4rio.com. This video I think you'll like. This is one of my favorites. I learned this in the favela of Rocinha, this particular calf crank setup that I like to play around with. I'm kind of an X-guard, butterfly guard guy. So hopefully you guys will like the setup. I sincerely hope you check out BJJ4Rio or video.bjj4rio and enjoy, guys. So thanks a lot. So I'll start with Alec, and what Alec will do is he'll start with one knee up. I'll just have you start with that knee up for now. So Alec will start with one knee up, one knee down. Pretty common situation. We're in kind of an open guard. If this was more of maybe an MMA type situation, maybe we would have been in the closed guard and I would have kicked away and sat up for some kind of a sweep or something along these lines where I'm tucking my head and making sure I'm not getting hit. Either way, my shin's in nice and tight to his shin, and my hand's on the outside of his knee. What I'm going to do from this position is I'm going to tilt to my side, and as I tilt to my side, I'm using this butterfly hook underneath his shin. So I'm coming to my side like so. However, a lot of the time, this is not going to finish my sweep. So because Alec has done jiu-jitsu maybe 3 or 4 times, he's going to keep his balance. He'll either post his hand on the ground, he'll do whatever he needs to do to make sure that this by itself does not lead to him flying across the room. It's probably just not going to do the job. So I'm sitting up. I'm going to tilt off to my side. As I tilt off to my side, I have the outside of his knee. My shin is also in his knee. I'm going to take my right knee and watch what I do. My right knee is now going to go in front of his foot. Stay up, keep your balance. So my right knee is in front of Alec's foot, at which point what I need to do is the opposite of shrimping. Alright, so shrimping in jiu-jitsu is me moving my hips back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press my hips in under. So I want my hips to face the ceiling. So I'm here with Alec. I make my tilt to the side. My shin is in front of his foot at this point, and now I'm going to cut my hips underneath. As I cut my hips underneath, this foot is going to lock over this shin. I'm going to reach both my hands up and over to his hip, and I don't want to be facing over his hip. I want to be looking down his leg at his knee this way. At which point, look, I'm going to extend my hips and kick them forward. If I need to, I'll support behind my foot like this. Most of the time I can just keep my triangle, kicking and extending as I pull in at the hip, driving forward. Sneaky stuff. Took a private in like Rocinha, which is one of the biggest favelas in Rio, and I had a guy who was just like, show me every leg lock that you do. And then he basically couldn't understand. I had another guy who was translating the whole thing, and he was like, oh, as soon as he understood, I said leg lock, and he just went into like 20 of them, and he showed this one. I was like, I teach that. So, all right, Alex up on one knee one more time. I'm here, I'm slid in, my hand's on the outside of the knee. As I tilt again, this usually is not going to cut it for the sweep, but it's a nice setup. This leg's going straight. Now I need to press my hips under. This is a pivotal part because I can't just lock this up. It's not going to do the job. I need to get my hips under his hips. So look, the ball of my foot on my right foot is on the ground. I'm going to move my hips underneath Alec, at which point I lock it up immediately. Now my shin, look, I want my knee pointing out. So my shin is pointing into the back of his knee, at which point both my hands are going to come through. I'm going to lock over his hip. I'm not locking here. I'm locking right over his hip. So I want his hip bone right in the crease of my thumb here, and that's what I'm pulling into as I extend and drive my knees forward. Force the tap. Let me borrow Nicholas one time. Nick's like, I don't want that to be me. So Nick's got one knee up. I'm here. Okay, we're in the butterfly guard again. Maybe I was in the closed guard and I sat up to try to protect myself and go for a single. Maybe it's just a pure jiu-jitsu situation. I'm in an open guard. Either way, I'm going to tilt myself off to my side. I have the outside of Nick's knee. As I tilt, this is not going to break his posture. However, I'm going to kick this leg straight. Slide my hips underneath, at which point this gets locked. My thumb groove right here, guys, on the hip bone. Super important I'm not grabbing here or anything funky. Thumb groove on the hip bone. That's what I'm going to kick forward with. Force my tap and get the submission. One time in real time, all right? Things up. I'm here.